Hey, and welcome to another video here on my channel. I haven't uploaded in a while again, but I'll definitely not let it be like a year until my next upload, I swear. I won't be too active here, but okay, this is an update video. I've had one of those before. But today I'll actually be reading to you, or well, narrating my story, the first chapter. I'm actually currently writing the third chapter of my story, A New Chance. It's basically kind of a fan fiction, I guess. Well, not really, because I don't know if you can call it a fan fiction with your own OCs. I don't know, but it's in the universe and world of warrior cats, and it's just about my own OC. I might be going a bit more into depth about how this kind of came to be and how I got the idea of this story and all how this character came to be. Maybe at the end of the video so that you don't get bored with me. So yeah, I hope you like my narration. This is the first time I'll be narrating a story, so I hope it's not too bad, and enjoy! Chapter 1. Abandoned. It had been a dark and stormy night, which had left the forest, and especially swamps, soaked and wet. The sleepy head of a she-cat peered out of the warrior's den. She was on dawn patrol this dark and wet morning. "Shadeleap, get over here, we're leaving!" A stern-looking warrior named Willowhaze shouted over at Shadeleap. Shadeleap shook her head and sleepily stumbled out of the warrior's den. I'm coming," Shadeleap sleepily mewed. The stern-looking warrior turned away from Shadeleap and padded out of the entrance of the shadowclan camp to join Minnowpatch, who was patiently sitting and cleaning his fur. The two other warriors started off into the forest as Shadeleap quickly stretched her legs before following. It had been a freezing night in the warrior's den. Even huddled together with all the other warriors, it had left Shadeleap stiff and uncomfortable. The three warriors dashed through the moors of shadowclan's territory until they arrived at the border. Shadeleap suddenly stopped in her tracks and lifted her head up as she perked her ears and opened her mouth a bit. "Do you hear that?" she asked silently. The two other warriors fell silent and listened. There was a quiet, high-pitched, unregular whimper in the air, almost like that of a young kit. Shadeleap leaped onto the edge beside the path they were walking on as Willowhaze and Minnowpatch ran after her. She dashed through the bushes, stopping every now and then to listen again, before rushing through the shrubs further. As she ran through the forest, and still very wet mud, she had not caught a scent yet. She started to get frustrated and give up, but suddenly she found herself right in front of the source of the noise. Shadeleap looked down at her paws to see a small furry creature twisting in the mud in front of her paws. She carefully stroked a paw across it to reveal it was a small black kit. Shadeleap looked at it in astonishment. It was so small, probably only a week or less old. The two other warriors caught up to her and also spotted the kit. Willowhaze gave it a disgusted glare as she recognized what it was. "It's a kit," Shadeleap mewed, captivated. "I know that, but what are we going to do?" Willowhaze said sternly and annoyed. "We certainly can't leave it out here," Shadeleap mewed as she pressed her nose against the small kit's flank, noticing it was as cold as crow food. Minnowpatch briefly nodded before saying, "With Newleaf so near, we can definitely take care of the kit until we return it to its clan." Willowhaze briefly rolled her eyes and annoyedly said, "Well then, what clan does it belong to?" Shadeleap was trying to catch a scent. I don't know. The mud covered its scent." "Well, what are we supposed to do now?" Willowhaze mewed sternly. "Maybe we'll be able to find out its clan later. First we need to get it to safety and find a queen to adopt it. Alone, it won't survive long." Shadeleap carefully picked up the kit by its scruff. It was skinny and didn't weigh much, so Shadeleap padded rather quickly back into the direction of the border. "What about the dawn patrol?" Minnowpatch asked as they leaped back down from the ledge back and onto the border of their territory. Shadeleap softly placed the kit down to answer. "You two can continue on without me." Willowhaze dipped her head and nod and continued on with the patrol, Minnowpatch following her. Shadeleap carefully darted back to camp. She knew the kit would not enjoy the bumpy ride, but she didn't know how long she had to save its life. Finally, Shadeleap dashed to the entrance of the shadowclan camp. She half trotted and half ran to the medicine cat's den. She placed the kit down gently. "Cherry Wind!" Shadeleap mewed out, still out of breath. Cherry Wind came rushing over to her in shock, as soon as he heard the tone in her voice. "What happened? Is everything okay?" Cherry Wind's gaze fell onto the small black kit. As soon as he got close to it, he noticed its horrible condition. Cherrywind quickly grabbed some moss to dry the small kit, and then took some more moss, especially dry and soft, to carefully wrap the kit up in. "Where did you find him?" Cherrywind asked, as he laid down beside the kit to make sure it stayed warm until the queen could take care of it. "He was just lying in a swamp around the border of her territory," Shadeleap answered. Cherrywind gave a small nod and continued. "Could you go ask the queens if any of them could take on an extra kit while I make sure he's not injured?" Shadeleap nodded in response and padded over to the nursery. Outside of the safety of the dens, just a slight bit of rain was coming down. Shadeleap carefully entered the nursery and padded over to one of the queens. "Darkgaze?" Shadeleap asked quietly and carefully as she sat down beside the queen. "What is it?" the queen said in an annoyed tone as she set her paws down from cleaning her fur. "I came across a kit while I was on dawn patrol earlier. It's still very young, and we need to find a queen to take care of him," Shadeleap carefully said. "Oh no, definitely not. I can't wait to get out of this stuffy nursery. Finally my kits are growing up, so I'm not going to go back to taking care of a newborn furball." Darkgaze spat out as she slightly flattened her ears and walked away from Shadeleap to end the conversation. Shadeleap was discouraged and was about to go to look around the nursery to find another queen to ask, when suddenly a light-colored queen came over to her from behind. You need someone to take care of a kid? I'd love to help. Ever since my third kid was stillborn a moon ago, I felt like something was missing. Maybe a third kid would be able to take her place," the queen said as she sat down beside Shadeleap. "Really? You'd take care of him?" Shadeleap asked hopefully. The queen, Snow Sparrow, nodded and asked, "But won't we have to return him to his clan soon?" Shadeleap half nodded as she answered, "Yes, but the thing is, he must have not spent much time with his mother, and that combined with the mud he was in, we haven't found any scents on him yet, which could tell us which clan he is from." Snow Sparrow nodded. "He's with Cherrywind, right?" "Yes, he's trying to keep him warm for now and look for any injuries," Shadeleap replied. "Oh, I hope he's not hurt. You can bring him to me as soon as he's ready," Snow Sparrow said with a smile on her face. "Thank you," Shadeleap mewed as she nudged Snow Sparrow thankfully before heading back out of the nursery. The rain had now worsened and was mixing with the slightly dry mud on Shadeleap's brown fur. She quickly rushed to the medicine den. Shadeleap padded back into Cherrywind's den and shook the small bits of rain off of her pelt. "How is he?" Shadeleap asked as she padded over to Cherrywind and the kit. "He's warming up. Luckily, he only had a few small bruises and cuts, which I've treated. More importantly, have you found a queen to take care of him?" Cherrywind replied. "Oh, thank gosh, he's getting better. Oh, and yes, I did find a queen to take care of him." Snow Sparrow said she'd be happy to, since one of her kits was stillborn, Shadeleap said as she sat down and started to clean her fur vigorously to get the mud and small twigs out of it. Cherrywind nodded and said, "I understand. She really hasn't been handling it well. After all, it was her first litter. I suspect she thinks she did something wrong, even though it's no cat's fault." Shadeleap looked at him and stopped cleaning her fur. "Really? She seems so carefree and happy, though." "I guess she just wants her kits to be happy," Cherrywind replied. Shadeleap nodded and changed the topic. "Have you found any scent on him yet?" Cherrywind shook his head slightly. "No, I suspect he's abandoned rogue." Shadeleap looked up with a bit of sadness clouding her eyes. "Poor thing. I can't believe someone could just abandon their kit like that. And not only that, they most likely knew they were leaving him to die." Shadeleap mewed sadly. Cherrywind shrugged. "You never know what rogues will do. But it's better you don't tell the whole clan about this. After all, some cats would be very hostile towards rogues. It's bad enough that he's not clan-born." Shadeleap nodded and stretched her legs before standing up. "Do you think I could take him to Snow Sparrow now?" Cherrywind nodded. "As long as Snow Sparrow makes sure to keep him warm for a while, I think he'll be fine." Cherrywind gently moved his paws from the small kit so that Shadeleap could take him. Shadeleap dipped her head as a nod and took a few paw steps forward before gently picking up the kit and swiftly yet carefully padding out of the medicine cat's den in the direction of the nursery. The rain was now pouring down heavily, and Shadeleap quickened her pace before finally getting to the cozy and dry nursery. She padded over to the pale-colored queen, who was sitting in a corner of the nursery with her two kits climbing on top of her and play fighting. She gently dropped the small black kit in front of her and shook her head before mewing. "Here he is. Cherry Wind said to make sure to keep him warm for a while." Snow Sparrow nodded and gave him a small lick before gently moving him closer to her. "I'll make sure to take good care of him." The queen mewed and smiled. Shadeleap smiled and nodded before padding back out of the nursery. Snow Sparrow seemed thoughtful before she quietly mewed to the kit. "Your name will be Crowkit." Okay, well done for listening to this point. Or maybe you just skipped back here, but who cares? Anyway, you're at basically the end of the video. You just heard the whole of the first chapter of my story. And the way this kind of came to be, which I said I would talk about at the end of the video, is me and my bestie, we have an RP server on Discord, only for us, so don't even ask to join. I'm sorry. But we made up all the clan cats. Like, we made up whole clans for the RP. Of course, we're not gonna like use all the OCs. Well, maybe like one day, but they're just kind of like all those background characters. So we kind of have all the clans filled out. So we have all the warrior names. We have lots of warrior names and designs for all the clans. We have lots of medicine cat designs and names. We have lots of leaders and, well, four, but yeah. So I kind of got the idea of drawing all of those, like I said in a previous video, I think, but I have kind of quit that. I have finished the most important cats, which are the leaders, medicine cats, deputies, and yeah, that's it. And I mean, I have finished some other warriors, some random warriors in ThunderClan when I still thought I could do them all. It's 130 plus cats, so that's pretty dumb, but I mean, I might still draw the one otter or another cat if I want to one day, or maybe draw one of them like a bust or something more simple, maybe one day. So basically, me and my bestie, we split the designs and everything up so that half of the cats in or RP's clans would be designed by one person and they'd belong to that person, the OCs. That person could choose the personality, the backstory, everything about that cat, and then the other half, the other person could choose. And this character, Crow Kit slash Paw slash I'm not going to tell you his warrior name, even though I already decided on it. He's actually one of my cats, and when I did his design and backstory, I fell in love with his backstory. So I ended up deciding to write a whole long story about it because I just felt like I can make it really interesting, and yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed it so far. I'll probably be uploading more of this. Currently, I'm writing the third chapter, so look forward to all of that. I know this isn't the best thing in the world. I know there's better narrators, there's better writers, but hey, everyone starts somewhere, and after all, why not? Well, I guess I'll see you in the next video. Right now, what you're seeing is just all the designs for the characters in this book that I've done so far, and basically also the one art piece I have for Crowstar. Well, if something just cut out, I'm sorry, but um, the one art piece I have of Crowkit, he's older in this drawing, but and basically some of these designs might still change, but yeah. Well, thanks for watching till now and listening to my boring voice. I'll see you in the next video.